The New Zealand Warriors are 15-6 after beating the hapless Brisbane Broncos 40-6 on Saturday night. Their second win at Suncorp this year, making them equal with the Broncos at their home stadium in their quest from penthouse to the outhouse, and they're almost there. I suppose that as a Warriors fan, like I've always been, the sweet taste of a premiership is not a flavour of LMP that's across the ditch, but he is hoping. Thanks, Brisbane, for putting on an extra training session for the boys this week, and for the throwback. Who knew they were playing Anthony Milford in this game? Welcome back, MILF. But it's a warning to the rest of the league. Watch out, the Wars are coming to make noise in the postseason and are ready to put a score on you, especially if you don't play any defense or attack. Broncos without a clue what they were supposed to be doing when they had the ball in this one. Bit of a stat attack. The Broncos averaged just under 28 meters per set in this game, as in with 5 tackles, ball in hand. They weren't even covering a third of the field before being forced to kick. Was a much better number at close to 43. Then when the Broncos had made those few meters and kicked, they were very quickly placed on the back foot, with the Wars finishing with 273 kick return meters, running rampant out of the backfield. Meanwhile, the Broncos were immediately getting nowhere with the ball themselves. They come out of this one with a measly 88 kick return meters. Every 5th tackle kick being met very quickly with a kick chase. That's if it was taken at all. Brave statement of the week. Erin Clark is in the absolute form of his life and is easily the best lock in the league right now. If he continues in this form, and there's no reason to suggest that he won't, it's the single greatest contributing factor to how far the Warriors will go in this season. That is to say, Erin Clark will decide the premiership. Back to the game, it was obvious basically immediately that this was going to be a rout. The Broncos weren't up for this game. It's as simple as that. The air has gone out of this season. They've got nothing to play for, and they can't seem to find a reason to play with any sense of pride or effort or urgency. It's ugly, and the Warriors could not have cared less. It took them 8 minutes to get on the scoreboard, and honestly, I think they should be disappointed that it took them so long. You can predict the entirety of the game by the first set. Metcalf puts the kickoff between Duffy and Anderson. Duffy wants absolutely nothing to do with the ball, so Anderson has to take it on a jog and is forced to take a hit up when Jordan Ricky's run is mistimed. He's tackled by Lecker, AKP, Capewell, and Fisher-Harris. Ricky gets the second hit up. He's tackled by Barnett, Clark, and Egan for just over 5 meters gain. Broncos switch sides and find Willison. He's tackled by Metcalf, Laban, and Fish for another 5 meters. So the Broncos find Haas in the middle, and he's chopped immediately by Egan, and Chanel and Erin Clark jump on him. Basically no gain from that. Walters tries to scoot, and Clark wraps him up immediately, and on 5th tackle, Walsh boots it to DWZ, and the Warriors' first tackle is on the 20. And what I mean to emphasize from that set is that the Broncos' 2 best forwards, their leading meter makers, were nullified completely from the jump by the Warriors pack that was bigger, fitter, and stronger, who were able to commit 3 players into tackles and peel off in time, who aren't just rolling around in the ruck trying to slow it down, who want to get back on side so that they can hit you again harder next time. It's no coincidence that the 3 best placed teams on the ladder right now have the best packs in the league, and in this game, the Warriors went out to prove that not only are they the best pack in the league, but how far the Broncos pack has fallen from its premiership heights. Payne Haas might be the greatest physical specimen to ever play in the NRL, but you wouldn't know it from this game. And sure, Pat Carrigan made 50 tackles. That's a big number. That's good. But the big halfback gimmick has not worked in this season, and it didn't work in this game. The Wars were in his face, and he didn't have a single answer. But there was one bloke that the Wars had it out for in this game in particular, and you're asking me, who's that? And you'll still be asking me, who's that after I say his name, Jaden Hunt, because who is that and what does he do other than concede tries? With his first touch of the game, the Wars were all over him. But first, look at the play the ball leading up to it. Laban and Mitch Barnett have led the kick chase after the Wars' first set, and the Broncos have nearly made it to their 30 after runs by Karapani and Mariner. And before the play the ball for tackle 3, 2 minutes into the game, Walters, Haas, and Carrigan are having a little offside committee meeting like, hey, what are we going to achieve with this set? Absolutely nothing? Okay, break on 3. And honestly, that's a pathetic effort that 2 minutes into the game, your hooker, prop, and lock are still offside while Barnett has just made 2 tackles. Have you bloke got any ticker? Come to the play the ball, Karapani's not even pretending to be an option. Walsh is looking away, so it's absolutely telegraphed that Hunt is going to receive the ball here, and he is beset upon by Clark, Leotawa, Laban, and Egan, and they drag him back to where he started his run. And I mean, some of these Broncos players are straight up not NRL level. Hunt is one of them, but when the international guys aren't even bothered to involve themselves in a set 2 minutes into the game, what hope did they have? The opening sets kind of play out how you'd expect from that. The Warriors gradually advancing their line deeper into Broncos territory, each set getting further across the halfway line, then pinning the Broncos into their own end with precise kicking and really strong kick chase, then just chopping dudes in defense. So many tackles having at least 3 defenders committed to them, not allowing the Broncos to get anywhere. Walsh tried to break out of the pattern early and they just dove on him as quickly as they could, very clearly following a no dummies policy. It also helped that for some reason that's beyond me and beyond sense, the Broncos chose to kick on 4th tackle twice in their opening sets. Then they let the Wars in with an error by Walsh. Now, I accept that this could have been a disruptor. You could say that by AKP jumping just kind of in the general direction of the ball with no real intention or likelihood of catching it himself, thereby interfering with Walsh's peripheral vision, he's disrupting him. That's a perfectly reasonable sentiment, but I put it to you, dear viewer, no one actually knows what a disruptor is or how the rule works or that it actually does anything. Instead, I'd suggest it was a complete invention by the NRL with no testing or logic or reason for its application, because I can recall a try being taken away from the Broncos, actually from Shibasaki jumping in the general direction of the ball and not catching it, it. But again, if you expect consistent, reasonable, and logical application of the rules, maybe try your luck at the Supreme Court and not the NRL. You are in the wrong place if you expect the decisions of a referee to make sense. That sets up the Warriors on the Broncos 10, and aren't they just so excited to be there? They want to go at the Broncos. Fisher-Harris throws himself at Carrigan, gets a 6 again. Laban goes at Carrigan too. Clark goes straight for Haas. Then, while the Broncos are worried about what's going on to the left of the ruck, with Fisher-Harris lining up directly at Willison and Metcalf and Chanel stacking that side, Barnett gets a free run at Jaden Hunt, and that's exactly what they want. It takes 3 Broncos to bring down Barnett, and none of the Broncos forwards realize that they've basically just left Mam on an island with Laban, and it's over. Really great work by Egan setting this up. He kept his big men well fed, and at the very least got extra fatigue into the Broncos forwards. He goes away from structure once. Barnett creates the advantage. He gives a little tap on his leg to let Laban know to be ready. Chance runs enough of a decoy to get Marinette a panic, and the Warriors exploit an advantage before the Broncos even realize that there's a 110 kilo, 6'3", 22-year-old basically unmarked, 6 points, not much effort. And if you thought that try was easy, Chanel Harris-Tavita has something for you. Now that Dean Mariner has given away a penalty for an escort by flexing his back, DWZ rewarded for the flop. Again, don't come to the NRL expecting consistent application of the rules or for the rules to make sense. And again, the Waz forwards start the set by looking for the big guys. Barnett runs at Willison, Fish runs at Haas, then CHT says, dance with me. When I say in the preview that he's got steel hips, well, they swivel, baby. They're full of ball bearings, and the Broncos either can't keep up or don't care. A personal hatred of mine is a half shooting out of the line, because if you shoot out of the line, you have to make contact. And the vast majority of halves in the comp can't make contact well enough to actually shut down a possession. So it always feels like a cop-out to see a little guy go flying out of the line as if he's identified the play and he's going to snuff it out, especially when all he achieves is creating a massive hole, which is all Duffy creates when Metcalf sees him coming and gets the ball onto Chanel, and he goes off the left twice, sending poor Jordan Ricky to his knees, puts Carrigan on skates, and runs past Duffy again while Kirk Capewell laughs. Hey, good defense, kid. See how all your teammates had matched the numbers, actually exceeded the numbers of the Waz backline, and were thus headed sideways, using the sideline as an extra defender, and you, between 2 defensive-minded players who held up one of the best edges in the competition last season, decided to play hero ball and got smoked? I mean, maybe he didn't say that. He probably didn't have time, but what if he did? Payne Haas is rightfully being dragged for his non-existent effort on the inside here, and maybe if he'd covered the ground, Chanel could have stepped him too, but none of it is necessary if Duffy presents a line and makes the Warriors play through the hands. Between this and his constant spamming of short balls that led nowhere, I can see why the axe has swung in his direction this week, and I mean, these are not problems for the Warriors, my team, to solve, but I don't know, a couple decent kicks does not NRL quality make. Now came the point in the game where disaster struck both teams, the Broncos losing Walsh to a hip drop, and the Wires losing Metcalf to a string. On Walsh, yeah, that's a straight up hip drop. Not great that it took him staying down and the video ref to intervene on that one, and 10 in the bin isn't really equal retribution for losing a guy for the rest of the game and now season. The rule exists and the punishment to stamp out this kind of tackle. They try to strike a balance in discouraging guys from doing it by sending them off for 10. It's just one of those unfair aspects of sport that Walsh can't play on because the tackle's gone so badly that he's injured by it. You can't legislate everything, and the NRL can't really legislate anything properly. It just sucks. Chance will miss 2 weeks now, which is a somewhat consequential measure with Metcalf out, but Tane can go straight back to fullback. But without Walsh, there goes the Broncos' slim chance of winning any of the rest of their games, and my willingness to support Australia in the World Cup if they name Dylan Edwards, I'm out. It was very brave of Walsh to play on with a syndesmosis. You can't really question his competitiveness or his ticker continuing to run on an ankle that required surgery. And you could see by the way he was moving, he was no good. When he threw that ball out that AKP floated up to grab, it was over. Both Walsh's season and the game if it wasn't already. Then the curse of the Suncorp turf strikes again and Metcalf does his hamstring on the conversion. And I guess, thank God it's not another ACL. Metcalf ACL last year, Tanner Boyd ACL this year, now Metcalf hamstring this year too. Can a Warriors 7 please just finish a game at Suncorp? TMM is predicted back in round 26, Metcalf for the final. So if they're both fit, the Warriors have a massive decision on their hands. Oh, I have to pick between 2 great halfbacks. My steak's too juicy. My lobster's too buttery. Metcalf's absence and Childs being off for 10 is probably the only thing that stopped this game from being the route it was primed to be. The way Metcalf was playing and the way that the Broncos defense completely folded. I don't know how to describe the Broncos' complete lack of effort to stop CNK's try in this game with anything but 4-letter words, which I expect is what was said in the box when the only 2 players competing for the ball were in Warriors jerseys, and they're basically contesting each other. Pat Carrigan doesn't even put in the effort to cheat on the kick chain and knock Laban out of it. Genuinely how the mighty have fallen. As for Dallin's try, I would use the word experiment, as in James Fisher-Harris was doing an in-game experiment of how far can I throw this pass? Wow. Turns out pretty far. And it turns into 3 Broncos trying to stop 2 Warriors and 1 try. Just checking, is there a returns policy on Grant Anderson? No? Well, enjoy New South Wales Cup next year. Don't sign a guy the Storm have given up on, I guess, unless the Broncos have given up on them too. Maybe they're pretty good. Shout out Kirk Capewell. There could be some consolation for the Broncos there in that at least it was a tough put down in the corner, so next comes literally a training run try for Leotawa. I don't think this can happen, and you can continue to call yourself an NRL team. It's maybe the softest try of all time. Broncos at least got themselves on the board after that for one of the most consolation tries of all time when 2 of the 5 Broncos who actually tried in this game combined for a nice bit of something, that being Moser and Willison. The other Broncos who actually tried were Walsh, Ricky and Mariner, but I like the look of this Moser kid. It's as if he's an elite playmaker with an absurd amount of time around the ruck. It's as if time stands still for him when he's a dummy half, a kind of rare skill reminiscent of Cam Smith. And if I was, say, a Broncos fan who was pretending for a bit that it's not their true identity, I would be foaming at the mouth that this guy's not had any opportunity at meaningful game time in games that count. Only thrust on the field in lost games and told to pick up the pieces. Thank God I'm not that hypothetical guy. That leaves a final try for Lecker, the wrecker, the centre, and it was basically inevitable when he took the field against this tepid defence that he would find a way to score. And it's when he's cramping up and clutching a rib that he goes for it close to the line and breaks through. Too big, too good, too strong. Also an indictment on the Broncos' attack that with Lecker kind of fading as the game went longer, cramping and stalling out, that they made exactly one attempt to attack him with a grubber through the back, and he immediately found some gas in the tank to chase. I don't want to overreact to this move to centre for Lecker. First of all, it's just great that he's on the field for 80 minutes. I hate when he's on the bench. And since I've already said that Erin Clark is deciding the premiership, instead I will not speak, because if I speak, I will sound insane. Anyway, that's game. Suddenly that for and against gap with Penrith is getting mighty close, and that home final is getting closer. I don't think this team needs to be too concerned about an away final being in the way of a week off, but I think every other team in the league is absolutely terrified that the Waz will have 2 home finals, and that's motivation enough. Anyway, time to drop the bit. Did you realize it was me the whole time? That felt way too good. Holy. Shoe on the other foot and it fit just right. This team is incredible. New Zealand, you've got really something going here. Sorry this is late, by the way. I've been sick as a dog. All right, back to being a Broncos fan.